Welcome to Unit 1, Challenges in Question and Answering. The main goal of teaching is to help students learn and to help them based on their individual's needs. Communication itself is not easy, not to mention in an EMI setting. An effective communication with students is very essential. For communication in EMI classrooms, there could be many different challenges. Your students might come from different academic departments. Educational backgrounds can shape the way people think about and approach problems. For example, someone from a background in engineering might focus on different aspects of a problem compared to someone from a humanities perspective. This can lead to different viewpoints that may be challenging to reconcile without mutual understanding. High schools from different countries might be very different in many aspects. People often assume a certain level of understanding based on their own knowledge and experiments. This can lead to explanations that are either too complex or too simplified, depending on the educational backgrounds of the individuals involved. Different fields of study also have their own specialized vocabulary, which we might be talking about shortly. Cultural norms dictate the use of gestures, facial expressions, body language, and even the physical distance maintained between conversing parties. What is considered polite or appropriate in one culture might be perceived as rude or strange in another culture. Cultures vary in their communication styles. Some are direct and explicit in conveying messages, while others rely on context and subtlety. This difference can lead to misinterpretation of what is being said or how it's intended. Cultural backgrounds influence values, norms, and beliefs. These differences can affect perspectives on topics like work, family, education, and politics, potentially leading to disagreements or conflict during discussion. Preconceived notations about other cultures can hinder genuine understanding and interaction. Stereotypes may lead to biased assumptions about a person's behavior, ability, or intentions based on their cultural identity. Reading, judging, or understanding of a student could be difficult when you have a classroom full of students from different cultural backgrounds. There's also the challenge of terminology, which I have just mentioned. For example, in British English and American English, you could have different words referring to very, very similar things. There's also the case when the same word actually means different things. For example, the word terminal in computing means something very different from that in medicine and in transportation. A terminal in computing means an electronic communication system where you can issue commands to your computer, while terminal in medicine means illness or condition. Terminal in transportation means the facility where vehicles load or unload passengers or goods. Another example, the word current, right? In electricity, the current means the flow of electric charge. However, the word current in hydrology means the flow of water. When a student has a higher level of mastery of English, you can have more accurate communication with different sets of words and different sentences. However, when the mastery of the English of the student is relatively low, it is more difficult to communicate. You are limited to the vocabulary and even the sentence structure. You might also need to have the sentences to be very simple and clear in logic. There are different personalities, right? And when you talk to different people, you might feel the different personalities, especially their communication styles. For example, extroverted individuals may enjoy open-ended conversations and frequent interactions, while introverted individuals might prefer more structured communication with less frequent interactions. Personality types influence how individuals handle arguments and conflict. Some might confront issues directly and assertively, while others might avoid conflict or seek harmonious resolutions. These differences can complicate communication and problem solving, as what feels natural to one person can be uncomfortable or provocative to another. Different personalities respond to stress and pressure in various ways. Some may become more focused and driven, while others might feel overwhelmed or disengaged. Understanding and adapting to these reactions is crucial in maintaining effective communication when students are under stress. When people are highly emotional, they may not communicate clearly or might interpret messages based on their emotional state rather than the intended meaning. For example, a person who is anxious or stressed might perceive neutral comments as negative or critical. Different emotional states require different responses. A person who is sad may need empathy and space, whereas someone who is excited might look for shared enthusiasm. Understanding and matching these emotional needs can be challenging, but is crucial for an effective EMI classroom communication. Certain emotions can lead to withdrawal or aggression, both of which are communication blockers. People experiencing sadness or depression might withdraw and be less communicative, while those who are angry might become confrontational or unwilling to engage in a constructive dialogue. Communicating effectively with someone in an emotional state often requires adjustment of the pace or tone of the conversation. Speaking too quickly or in a harsh tone to someone who is upset or anxious can make the conversation not very constructive or meaningful. This is a summary of the challenges we have just seen, but usually it's not just limited to these. So these are some approaches that we might be able to make our communication more effective. We should practice active learning. We should show genuine interest in understanding others' question and clarifying their thoughts before responding. We should seek feedback. Regularly, we should solicit feedback on how your communication methods are working and be open to making adjustments, also to confirm whether your understanding of what the student is speaking of. We should have a very clear and calm communication. We should always have empathy. We should practice empathy by trying to understand the student and acknowledging their situation. We should adjust our responses based on the context, offer support and reassurance where needed, and maintain calmness and patience. We should adjust our style to better match the preference of others. This might mean being more direct with some people while taking a more empathetic and supportive approach with others. We should be willing to step outside of our comfort zone to accommodate the needs of others, recognizing that effective communication often requires compromise and flexibility. There are also other type of situations that we might need to consider. Are students asking the question when you are on stage or off stage? How many students are there asking you that particular question? Do you have more students waiting in the queue for question and answering? How much time do you have for each of them? These are all factors you might need to consider. Well, in this unit, I guess the final takeaway is that there are many challenges because there are a lot of different people. Communication has to be meaningful and efficient in EMI. So as a TA, you should try to communicate with students effectively. But how is something you might need to learn through experience. There could be a lot to consider. Okay. All right, so that is pretty much it for this unit. We do have Unit 2 and Unit 3 within this series. For the following units, one is about understanding questions and the other is about answering questions. Stay tuned.